Hello and welcome. I am Tracy, and this is my channel for parents who are estranged from their adult children. This is a safe place, and yeah, safe space. Um, and where we can discuss what we're going through, our feelings, the things that we can't say to other people that we might feel judged for feeling or saying. As parents, we um, are supposed to have a role that we can't back out of, no matter how badly we're being abused. And this channel is for talking about these things. There won't be any estranged adult children here. And if somebody comes in, they will be removed. So, my advice to you is to go back to my very first video and at least watch the first, I think it's 4 videos. I'm estranged from 3 of my children, and I go through the story of my estrangement with each child. Might be 5 videos. And that will give you a little background on what we are dealing with. And today I want to talk about something that happened recently. My mother-in-law went into hospice, and we got a phone call at about 2 o'clock in the morning saying they didn't think that she was going to make it through the night. My husband got online, bought tickets, plane tickets, and he flew a few hours later to the state she lives in. She did manage to make it through the night and is as stubborn as she ever was. Hold on. Which was good for my husband because he got to see her say what needs to be said, whatever that is for anybody, and then he loves her and goodbye. He got to sit at her bedside and hold her hand. So I was home with my youngest son, who is 22 years old, and he lives here with us. And he contacted his older siblings and told them that their dad was going through maybe the roughest thing that, you know, the death of a parent, death of a spouse, death of a child, even your best friends, even dogs, um, can be, exceptionally painful. And I lost both my parents, and there's that feeling of being an orphan. And he was experiencing that because his father's passed. And not just that, but experiencing the loss of being estranged from his children. So my son sent them a message and he said, listen, Grandma is in hospice. They don't think she's going to make it. Obviously, she's in hospice. And Dad could really use your support right now. You know, drop whatever it is, that grudge that you're dragging around, drop it for as long as it takes to send a text to say, I love you and I'm sorry that you're going through this, or, something that can help their father in this situation. And I think a lot of us struggle with having a certain amount of expectations. Like if our estranged children were to hear that we were dying, that surely that would be a line in the sand that they would say, I this is it. This is where I'm done carrying this grudge. This is where I'm done with the anger. Um, but if you've been on any support groups online, you will see that oftentimes is not the way it goes. If somebody's sick with cancer, a parent, that does not influence the children to call. It does not make them care. Their their resentment, their anger, their whatever it is they have is stronger than the love they had for their parent. One of my children did reach out, my youngest daughter, and if you go look, I think she's like video 4. She's the one I told you guys that she was a warm ray of light. And if we walked by stairs that were more than 4 stairs high, she had to walk down them like a princess. It was just the way it is. She has had, as maybe still does, a very soft personality. She is much different than me and the rest of my kids. Um, my kids are very like sarcastic and snarky and funny, very funny. She is also very funny, but when she was little, she did not want you to use any kind of sarcasm or call her anything other than like beautiful princess butterfly. She was very much um, soft, saw the world as the glass half full, and through rose-colored glasses. She, me, and my other kids were not really much like that. We're more like that glass is half empty, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. And and we just it's just we're kind of Adam's family a little bit. You know what I mean? um, and we all have dark hair and brown eyes. She has blonde hair and blue eyes. She's just um was always just different in that way, which I know you're not supposed to say, but made her something special. Because no matter how you were seeing a situation, she would see it completely different. She always saw the silver lining, and that was really good. That's really good for somebody who's, you know, um, a little bit hardened by life. Me, and I'll tell you the story really quick. I told her this big dramatic story about how, we were not going to have any more children after her. We had decided we weren't going to have any more children after her, and I just got this feeling, and that we were going to have another one. And I was at the hospital with her. She was newborn. So we were going through the sleepless nights and all that stuff. And I just got this feeling. I was in the hospital. She went to just get a test. It was nothing. And I just knew that we were going to have another child and it was going to be a boy. And I, have told this story to my kids because my husband was like, nope, I'm not feeling that at all. I feel pretty done. And it went like that for about 3 years. And where I kept saying, listen, I feel like this, and we're supposed to have a boy. And my husband gave a whole list of things that needed to happen first, a whole detailed list. And one by one by one by one, they all went and came to us. And he said one day, "Okay, let's have one more, but it better be a boy." And so and he was. So I have told this story to the kids and told Maya and Maya daughter. Um, I told her that that it was like amazing and how this all worked out and how I was standing in this hallway in the hospital while she was getting her heel poked. And I just had this overwhelming feeling, let me move this a little bit. You're going to have a boy. And she commented, um, what color were the walls? And I said, well, what? And she said, in the hospital, what color were the walls? And did they match the carpet at all? And so that's her. That was her. She's been influenced a lot by her older siblings. The point of the story is, I told you guys, I am chatty. The point of the story is that she did get a hold of my husband and she did have a little conversation with him. And he was stunned, so appreciative, so grateful that she had called, well, texted. I have a son who lives an hour away from where my husband was with his mom in the hospice, our oldest son. And he did not reach out. If you go through my videos, he's the one who's married to the cult of one. He told my youngest son that he couldn't promise anything. My oldest daughter, my son called her. My oldest daughter said, who's asking for this? As in, was it me? Was it her dad who was reaching out and saying, I I I'm feeling down because she wasn't going to contact him if that was the case. My son told her, no, it's me. I see what dad's going through and I'm asking you to please help him. And she said, I'll think about it. And she did not contact him. So I know a lot of people in estrangement support groups who have finally come to the conclusion that, if they have cancer, if they are going to die, that they're not going to tell their children. And I I was really thinking about this week, and I think it's because we still have a certain level of expectation, right? I mean, we were once so close. We we This tends to happen to people who have really good relationships with these children when they're children and teenagers. And puts us in the position where, like, I I don't understand where this came from. We were close. We did everything together. We were happy. You were happy. What's happening? And I think, and I had told my husband um that you know my youngest son had talked to the kids about this, and I feel like that was probably a mistake because then I gave him hope. where if I hadn't told him, he wouldn't have had any hope, and he would have been just, well, he was still completely surprised that the youngest daughter contacted him, but he was holding out hope that the son who lived right down from them would come see him, would support him. My husband is a person who doesn't show emotions, really doesn't, and he was very emotional. Losing a parent is exceptionally hard, and so I started to wonder if something is seriously wrong with me. Do I want them to be told? Because, like, I'm in hospice, let's say, like the situation with my mother-in-law. I'm in hospice. I know my kids know, and then I know that they didn't come, if that's what was to happen, which feels like that's a pretty good possibility at this point. Would I rather just not tell them, not have them know, not have that expectation, and not feel that loss? One last time. So I want to pass with that on my heart. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Um, if you've made plans to tell or not to tell, or I know there's a lot of people in the community who um, have written their children out of their wills um, and not told them, or sometimes people try and get them to come around because of the will and the what they could be getting, and kind of use it as a, well, if you don't, then you won't get this. And I've never read a story where that actually worked for anybody. I've never read stories where hardly anything works for anybody. It feels exceptionally rare. And the one time that I had my first estrangement from my oldest son, that was purely us reconnecting, was purely a strange thing that happened. He was working, a woman walked by. She was wearing my mother's perfume, and my mother had passed a few years earlier. And he took that as a sign to call me. But then his siblings weren't speaking to him, his grandparents weren't speaking to him, his aunts and uncles weren't speaking to him. So I think he had more of an incentive to connect, where now he has his siblings supporting him, his grandparents, my dad in particular, has passed. His grandparents have passed. There's nobody judging him on what he's doing and how devastating, and as you'll hear on this channel, abusive. I flat up, straight out, call it abusive. It's abusive what's being done. So I just wanted to talk about expectations today. And do you have any? Have you made changes to your will? Well, really don't have much. I don't really don't have anything to leave. But I do have life insurance if my husband passes, and that would be passed down to my children. And the oldest child, it would be responsible for it. And we are going to change that. I have jewelry that was to be passed down to my daughters, my granddaughters, and we have changed that too. Um, and at some point, my granddaughters are adults, and the person that we are going to have take care of our stuff feels that they, you know, um, should have it, and that choice is going to be left up to them. But um, nothing for the other kids, which is difficult. I got a new wedding ring about 15 years ago. Long story, but I had to get a new wedding ring. We lost one in a fire. And it's got 3 bands. And as soon as I brought it home, my girls divvied it up. Um, it's an engagement ring, it's a wedding ring, and it's an anniversary ring. One girl wanted the wedding ring, the other girl wanted the engagement and the anniversary ring. They divvied them up. I was like, and it was not a bad situation. It was fine because that's something I needed to know, and and that was going to be something special that is not going to happen. So have you done anything? Have you kept it the same? Please start a conversation with us below and tell me what you think and what you're doing and how you're getting through things like this. Before you go, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Really can't express enough to you how much that will help. I have a teeny tiny, tiny channel. It has to be seen and recommended to grow. So subscribing, giving a thumbs up, and leaving a comment and or sharing the video are the only ways that my channel can grow. So if you could please do that so that we can get a large community where we can support each other, be a flower that grows out of the cement sidewalk for each other. Thank you for coming. Goodbye.